The aircraft shuddered gently as it cut through the clouds, and in seat 12F sat a man whose hands had learned to tremble in silence. He was just a single dad now, knees drawn slightly inward to make space for a sleeping child, eyes fixed on the scratched window that reflected a life he barely recognized anymore. No one on that flight knew that the quiet man holding a worn backpack and a paper cup of water had once commanded the sky itself, or that the name buried deep inside his past still carried weight in rooms he no longer entered. For everyone else, he was invisible. Until the moment the past stood up, saluted, and refused to stay forgotten. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for just a second. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of people the world has overlooked, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to channel name. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The man in seat 12F had learned to shrink himself over the years. He had learned how to take up less space, to apologize without speaking, to fold his history into something that fit inside a single carry-on bag. His name was Daniel Carter, though very few people used it anymore with any weight behind it. To most, he was simply a widowed father doing his best, juggling work, school pickups, and the endless ache of loss. His daughter, Lily, slept against his shoulder, her small fingers curled into the fabric of his jacket as if anchoring herself to the only certainty she had left. Daniel had mastered the art of being calm for her, even when his chest felt like it was collapsing inward. This flight was supposed to be nothing more than a necessary inconvenience. A job interview waited on the other side, another chance at stability after months of scraping by. Daniel had rehearsed his answers in his head, careful not to mention the years that didn't fit neatly on a resume. Years spent in classified airspace, years that ended abruptly with a medical discharge, years followed by grief that hollowed him out from the inside. When Lily's mother died, the sky went silent for him. He stopped flying, stopped dreaming, stopped believing that the person he used to be had any place in the world that remained. The cabin lights dimmed, and the soft hum of the engines wrapped the passengers in a shared, temporary existence. Daniel stared forward, his mind drifting backward despite his efforts to stay present. He remembered what it felt like to trust the machine beneath him completely, to feel every vibration as an extension of his own body. He remembered the weight of responsibility, the lives protected by decisions made at impossible speeds. Those memories felt like they belonged to someone else now, someone stronger, someone unbroken. A sudden shift in the atmosphere of the cabin stirred him. It wasn't turbulence, but a subtle change in energy, the way a room feels when something important is about to happen. A uniformed figure had entered the aisle, moving with unmistakable purpose. Daniel didn't look up at first. He had trained himself not to. Attention made him uncomfortable now. It reminded him of everything he had lost. But the presence lingered, stopped, and the air itself seemed to hold its breath. The commander of an F-22 demonstration team, traveling in full dress after a joint exercise, had recognized something that no one else had. The posture, even slouched. The hands, calloused in specific places. The eyes, carrying a depth that only came from having seen the world from impossible heights. When the commander spoke, it wasn't loudly, but it carried through the cabin with a gravity that cut through the noise. He addressed Daniel not as a stranger, not as a civilian, but as someone who once belonged to a brotherhood that never truly lets go. Daniel looked up slowly, confusion flickering across his face before recognition settled in. The name spoken was one he hadn't heard aloud in years, a call sign that had once defined him completely. Viper 1. It echoed in his chest like a heartbeat he thought had stopped. The commander's salute was precise, unhesitating, a public acknowledgement of a past Daniel had buried to survive. The cabin fell into stunned silence. Passengers who moments ago were scrolling through phones or dozing mid-flight now watched as history unfolded in real time. Daniel felt exposed, stripped bare by respect he no longer believed he deserved. His first instinct was to deflect, to disappear, but Lily stirred, sensing the shift. She looked up at her father with sleepy curiosity, unaware that she was witnessing the moment her understanding of him would change forever. Daniel didn't stand. He didn't need to. The recognition found him where he was, exactly as he was. The commander spoke of service without specifics, of leadership without exaggeration, of sacrifices made quietly and without expectation of applause. He spoke of the pilots who trained under Daniel, the missions that never made headlines, the lives that went on because of decisions made in seconds. Each word chipped away at the wall Daniel had built around himself. As the commander moved on, leaving behind a ripple of awe and whispered questions, Daniel sat frozen. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with something dangerously close to pride. He hadn't felt it in so long that it scared him. Lily studied his face, then smiled, the kind of smile only children can offer, unburdened by context. In her eyes, he saw not a broken man scraping by, but a hero she hadn't known how to name until now. The rest of the flight passed in a blur. Strangers offered nods of respect, quiet smiles, a few gentle words. Daniel accepted them awkwardly, unsure how to carry this version of himself alongside the man who packed lunches and worried about bills. When the plane landed, he felt heavier and lighter all at once, as if something lost had been returned, but not without cost. The interview that followed was different than he expected. Not because of recognition or special treatment, but because Daniel spoke differently. He didn't hide anymore. He talked about leadership learned under pressure, about resilience forged in loss, about adapting when life strips away everything familiar. He spoke as someone who had been reminded of his worth, not by accolades, but by being seen. Weeks later, as Daniel walked Lily to school, she asked him about airplanes, about why people saluted him, about the name that had followed him home like a whisper. He told her the truth in pieces she could understand. About serving something bigger than yourself. About falling and standing back up. About how even when you think your story is over, the world might still remember a chapter you thought was erased. Life didn't magically become easy. Grief didn't vanish. Bills still arrived. But something fundamental had shifted. Daniel no longer moved through the world as if apologizing for existing. He stood a little straighter. He allowed himself to dream again, not of returning to the cockpit, but of honoring who he had been by being fully present for who he was now. Near the end of this story, if it's touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to channel name. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. And before we close, here's a special request. Please comment below with the word "remembered" if you believe no good life is ever truly forgotten. Because sometimes, a man is just a single dad in seat 12F, until the sky remembers his name, and reminds him who he's always been.